Litigation and claims, 2 questions are there as per our notes, basically covering the module. And segment information also, we have 2 questions to cover. Okay, let's do this one by one. Inventory, let's take the charge of the first 4 questions the of inventory. Okay, so inventory has 4 questions. Let's see this first area. Matters relevant in planning attendance at physical inventory counting. What are the matters you keep in mind? First is, what is the inventory, nature of inventory, that is called as whether it is perishable, non-perishable, liquid form, solid form, gaseous state, all these things we are looking at. That is called as nature of inventory. Second, what is the risk of material misstatement? I am depicting a rat here, but you understand risk of material misstatement basically means chance of big accounting mistake happening. Next is, what internal control the organization has in place, that is internal control. You remember the chart, I think. Next is, has the entity appointed an auditor's expert in place? Next is, do they have a perpetual inventory system? Do they have a perpetual inventory system which can do the calculation in relation to inventory on a continuous basis? Okay, I had given you the example of DMart, if you remember, in our class. Next is location of the inventory. Where is the inventory located, in which godowns they are having? Let's say they have a godown in Lucknow where they keep their, let's say there they have the work in progress there. With that, we'll remember work in progress. And their godown in Mumbai where they have the main finished goods, we'll have to have a procedure for inventory counting. So that is how we think. And last point is, when should we ideally go and check the inventory? Ideally on 31st of March evening we should go. That is when we'll get the correct figure of closing stock. That is basically timing of inventory counting. Timing of inventory counting. This is the first 9 points in this case. Okay, let's go further. It's question number 2. Sir, what are the audit procedures in relation to inventory? What will the auditor do? We had done the imagination of our classroom as a go down. I told you, outside the classroom door, the management has given instructions for their staff members to count the inventory, how to inventory counting should be done. That is instructions given by the management to their staff. We enter the door and we see that the staff is working as per that requirement of the management. We do observation. Then I come and sit here on my place and I ask the various staff members to get few boxes, random boxes. I ask them to show the box and see whether number of inventory in a box is what the management had told. Let's say they had told that each box will contain 100 iPhone boxes will be there, small box of iPhone. I will check whether 100 box of iPhone is there or not. I'm doing something so called as performing count procedures. Next, I will ask them to remove the iPhone boxes, maybe few, 2 or 3. I'll ask them to show to see whether it is the latest iPhone or not, to see whether the quality is there or not. That is called inspection. And finally, when you multiply quantity into quality, that is basically the rate, quality will give you the rate, we'll get the inventory value. Inventory value, I'll check whether it is matching with the final inventory value that the company is showing in their closing stock in the profit and loss account, trading P&L, if they're showing that or not. I'll check that. When you check these areas, it is basically called as, sir, audit procedures in relation to inventory. Simple, 5 points. Next one. Sir, in relation to situations, sir, can there be situations where you cannot go on 31st of March? Yes, there can be. So in that case, we should ideally select an alternative date. If you select an alternative date, let's say in our example, we took 4th April. In that case, sir, then you will go on 4th April. So you'll get the inventory as on 4th April. So what to do, sir, for inventory between 1st April and 4th April? You have to do something called as, you have done in foundation, stock reconciliation. Stock reconciliation. So basically inventory which has come in the godown in that period, 1st April, 4th April, you will subtract. Inventory which has gone out, you will add back. So that you are doing something called as intervening period transaction you're checking. Sir, if it is impossible to check the inventory, my students will recollect. We had done an example of Kashmir godown example, our favorite example. In that case, sir, it is impracticable to check the inventory. In that case, we will not reach the R level. So we'll try to do alternative audit procedures. If that also fails, of course, we have our dear standard 705 because we are not able to reach the R level and we feel there may be material misstatement, which if not pervasive, qualified report. If it is pervasive, then disclaimer of opinion. Are you there with me? Yes or no? Simple. That covers question number 3, situations. Question number 4, inventory with third party. Very simple. Sir, in that case, what do we check? First, we can take confirmation from third party. Sir, we can ourselves go and do the inspection. And last is we can do other audit procedures, which can help us in getting the evidence. Sir, what other audit procedures we can do? So for that, we had done a code called, if you remember, card. Card was what? Very simple. Sir, again, we can take confirmation. That is repeated again. Sir, we can ourselves attend or arrange for another auditor to attend the inventory counting. Sir, we can check the another auditor's report so that we come to know whether they have flagged any transaction or they have reported about some matter which is not kept properly. And D is documentation will inspect. Will inspect the documentation maintained by the third party documentation. Easy, simple to understand this area. Okay. Next is in relation to litigation and claims. We did two questions. First is identification, and second is where if RMM is high. If RMM is high, we had done an excellent diagram. I'll take you there. First, how will you identify regarding litigation claims with third parties? First is you will do the inquiry of the management and in-house legal counsel. With that, we'll identify if court case is going on. Second, we will check our correspondence with the external legal counsel. Any email communication is there between the management and the external legal counsel, and we'll check the minutes of meeting of the TCWG. Third, we'll check the legal expense account. Only 3 points. You can see here also inquire the management and with in-house legal counsel, review the minutes of meeting between of TCWG and any correspondence between the entity and the ELC, external legal counsel, and reviewing the legal expense account. Similar points. Easy. Sir, if RMM is there, if risk of material misstatement is there regarding litigation and claims, what all will we check? We did this chart, if you remember. Very simple. Litigation and claims are there. If RM, in that case, if they have lied about the court cases, then in that case RMM is high because they have lied about the court cases. But sir, if other litigation claims are there which may exist, which they are keeping it hidden, they are not revealing it, then again RMM can be there. If they have lied to us or kept any litigation claims hidden, in that case we feel like as an auditor to communicate with the external legal counsel or to meet the external legal counsel. Meeting we'll see later. But communication, how will it happen? Sir, I want to communicate with the external legal counsel. Then what is the procedure? The auditor will go and tell the management, I want to speak to the external legal counsel. I want to communicate to him. By email, I want to communicate. If they don't give the permission, you will do alternative audit procedures. If they give the permission, you want to communicate with something called a letter of inquiry, which gives a direct communication access between you and the external legal counsel, which the management may not accept. Management will tell you, no, you have to give a letter of specific inquiry. Ask your questions in a specific manner. That is the maximum communication we can allow. In that case, you understand here, we have to communicate with a letter of specific inquiry. In this case, what all will be include? Will include the list of litigation and claims. Will include the management assessment, what they feel, win the case, lose the case, which how much amount, lose the case, how much amount, and then we'll tell the external legal counsel, do you think that the management's assessment is reasonable or not? And they have to give their reasonableness for each case. We will tell them, mention if the list is incomplete, it means are there any more cases, or if the list is incorrect, are they mentioning anything wrong? We'll request the external legal counsel to give their comment on that. Okay. Next. If the matter at disco matters, disco, I don't know whether you remember disco matters. Disagreement between the management and the external legal counsel is there. In that case, I will prefer meeting the external legal counsel. If there is a significant risk involved, the significant risk is a relative anti-story, then I will prefer meeting the external legal counsel. If there is a complex matter which is there, let's say cryptocurrency matter, foreign exchange matter, money laundering matter, I'll prefer meeting the external legal counsel. Suppose if permission is not given by the management to meet the external legal counsel, in that case, I'm stuck. I will do alternative audit procedures. If that also fail, I'll report as per 705. If external legal counsel, we send the email or we go to meet them, but they don't respond, they are not willing to communicate with us or meet us. That case, what we can do, we can do alternate audit procedures, then report as per 705. Next, external legal counsel is prohibited from responding. Prohibited. Their code of ethics, as per Bar Council of India code of ethics, the code of ethics says you cannot communicate with any person other than the client. So they cannot communicate with the auditor. In that case, again, alternate process will do and report as per 705. Same thing. Are you there with me, yes or no? That completes your excellent area in relation to litigation and claims. Superb area. Two questions only. Very easy to identify it in the examination and score marks. Okay. So do it well. Okay. All these charts are for you. So do it properly up. Next, we do this area very simple, very easy. Segment information. First area, segment information. First question is, sir, what is the, sorry, not this one. First is, sir, what are the audit procedures we will do to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding segment information. So we did this answer. In that case, look at the audit procedures. We'll understand the methods used by the management. We'll see whether the disclosure is done as per AFRF, and we'll see whether we'll test the method, whether they work properly or not. And finally, because the data will be in disaggregated form in segment information, it is of great help for us to go for analytical procedures. Analytical procedures. Next is, sir, in order to understand the method used by the management. Second question is this: what should the auditor do? Auditor should check how the transaction, how the transfers are recorded, how the sales are recorded, how the charges are recorded, depending on the company's situation regarding segment information. Second, how the asset allocation is done. How are the what was the budget? How have they met or exceeded or not met the target? That is called as compare with budget. And finally, we'll check the consistency with the prior period. Previously, how they were doing, how they were showing segment information. Now, how they are showing it. Are you there with me, yes or no? So that is basically this question. This completes our essay 501.